friends, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day today. I am, because we are officially 30 days out from our trip. This time next month we will be checking in to Pop Century for our trip. I'm super excited. We've been planning this trip for over a year. We're going with some of our best friends. We're very excited. But today I'm not going to be talking about our trip specifically. I'm going to be talking about that in a separate video. Be on the lookout for that. So if you haven't already, follow me down below. Click subscribe, please. I'm going to have a ton of Disney content coming here in the next week, but then also a ton coming next month for our trip. So I'm excited to get to share all of that with you guys. I also have a Disney Instagram account, which I will link below. It should pop up on the screen here, but it's also always linked down below. I do like daily stories there, share some Disney photography, different tips and tricks and stuff, so definitely make sure to follow that as well for live updates. I'll definitely be trying to go maybe live in the parks, maybe do some like live rides and stuff while we are there, and then I will post all of our trip videos once we get back. But I am gonna have like packing vlogs and like an official trip announcement and all that stuff coming up, so make sure to subscribe down below and click the notification bell so that you get notified when I post those. So today, like I said, I'm not going to be talking about the specifics of our trip. Today I'm actually going to be talking about Disney's disability access services. So Disney offers a variety of services for their disabled guests. There's kind of different elements that fall within those services depending on the disability, depending on the condition, depending on what each guest needs. Every person's different, right? So every person is going to need something different. And luckily Disney has a variety of kind of options and services and accommodations that they have. So it was important to me to make this video because it took my husband and I a few years and honestly a couple frustrating trips to figure out that Disney even had these services, that they had a service that could benefit him. To help him get around the parks easier, have a better time, and just not be, like not have his conditions like exacerbated while in the parks. Nobody wants that. So, I'm really glad that we found all the information that we did when we did, because we have had some amazing trips, since we discovered these services and how to really use them. We have kind of perfected it over the years. We started using the disability services in November of 2018 when we went on a trip with my family. There were a lot of us, and we knew that my husband, from previous experience, had a hard time waiting in the lines and everything. So luckily we discovered these services, and things have kind of changed over the years. The way you use the services has changed over the years. The way Disney presents them has changed over the years. Just the way they do things in general has changed. Also, the way that things are done in Disney World versus Disneyland are different. Not like the systems themselves are basically the same, but kind of I think we've noticed that the implementation of those systems is different depending on which park you're at. So this is mainly going to be about Disney World. I'm going to be talking about Disney World because that's where we're going here next month. But for the most part, this is basically the same in Disneyland. If there are a couple of things that are different, I will tell you along the way. So first off, let's talk about like disability, what that means to Disney. So Disney doesn't have, as far as their system goes, their disability, especially the disability access service or the DAS Pass, which is what we're going to mainly be talking about. They don't really have a specific definition of what a disability is. It's kind of broad. There's no like set list of what qualifies you or what does not. Disney's general stance, especially for the DAS Pass system, is that it is for any guest with a disability or condition that keeps them from waiting in the physical line, waiting in a traditional queue. So that is the biggest, I think, kind of pitfall where people get kind of confused the most. People think that if they have just any general condition or any disability, that they'll automatically qualify for the DAS Pass. And I think that's where a lot of confusion comes from. I know I have family members and friends who have had issues with this confusion and kind of where they fall within the DAS pass system and whether they're like eligible for it or not. So I am going to talk more about that, but I want to go to the actual Disney site and show you guys what their specific like wording is and what it actually says on their website from Disney. So you can see that I'm getting it straight from the source. Yes, I have, experience. I've used this for my husband, but I'm gonna get the information straight from Disney. So let's go to that. Okay guys, so if you go to the Walt Disney World website, you're gonna go to the left, click the little bar, and it says Help and Rules. And then from there, you're gonna select Guests with Disabilities. Now this is gonna bring you to a page that says Services for Guests with Disabilities. And there's some information at the top there. I'm going to keep scrolling down. Here it talks about cognitive disabilities. Then we come to Disability Access Service. So the biggest thing to note here is that Disney does specifically state that the Disability Access Service, or the DAS Pass, is for guests who are unable to wait in line. So like I said, I think that is where a lot of the confusion comes. So to be clear, if you have a disability, but you are able to wait in the lines, then Disney is not going to issue you a DAS pass. They do have services for you. It's just not necessarily going to be the actual DAS pass. So I will kind of explain more about that. So as an example, if you have a broken leg and are currently in a wheelchair, or for whatever reason you require the use of a scooter or an ECV, then according to Disney, you are able to wait in the physical line. And again, I think this is where some confusion happens. Under Disney's disability services, like I said, there are a couple of different systems, or the way they break it down is a little bit different. So really, it's kind of like the umbrella of Disney's disability services, and then there's one branch that is for people with a disability or a condition, but who are able to wait in the line. And then there's a second branch of people who are disabled, but are unable to wait in physical lines, are unable to physically wait in that standby line. So when you call Disney and you talk to them, or when you speak to guest services in the park, they're going to ask you some questions, and they're going to determine which branch of that umbrella you fall under. And then they're going to help you accordingly. So again, I'm going to go to Disney's website so I can kind of show you where it says this and kind of the verbiage of, what Disney actually says. So if you keep scrolling down that same page, it is going to bring you to a paragraph there that says, there's an area right here that says Other Considerations. It says, a guest whose disability is based on the necessity to use a wheelchair or a scooter does not need DAS. This is what I was just talking about. A guest who needs to use a wheelchair or a scooter does not need DAS. Depending on the experience, guests utilizing a wheelchair or scooter will either wait in the standard queue or receive a return time at the attraction. So when you go either into the virtual call with the cast member, or when you meet with the cast member in person, like I said, they're gonna ask you some questions. You don't have to, it's not in depth. You don't have to overshare. You don't have to give them, all of your life history, your whole medical background. You don't have to give them too much information. In fact, they will stop you because my husband has kind of tried to go on and tell them about the medication he takes and etc. And they'll stop him and say, okay, we don't need all that information. What you've told me is enough. So you don't have to give them everything. They're not here to invade your privacy or anything like that. They just need to know the basics so that they know how they can help you. So again, within Disney's disability services, again, there are basically two options. So option one is going to be for people who can wait in physical lines, and option two is for people who cannot. So we're going to go through option one first. So option one, for those who can wait in physical lines, where your disability does not hinder you from waiting in the line, most, not all, but most of Disney's lines, their queues, are accessible, meaning that they are wide enough, they're big enough, there's enough space for a wheelchair or an ECV to be maneuvered through the line. That is basically what kind of makes the difference. And not all of them are handicap accessible. but most of them are. This is a little bit different in Disneyland because Disneyland is so much older. Disneyland itself, a lot of the rides actually are not. And California Adventure, because it's newer, a lot of the rides are. So the option that they give you in Disneyland for rides that are not accessible is basically what it's going to be for most of the rides in Disneyland. So basically what happens for the rides that are accessible, you just get into the line like normal. For the rides that are not accessible, typically what will happen is you will go to the front of the ride. Let's say you want to go on, I don't know, It's a Small World, let's say. And usually at the front of an attraction, there's always a cast member. So you'll walk up to the cast member, or you're passing the cast member as you go to get into the attraction or get into the standby line. If that ride is not accessible and the ECV or the wheelchair or whatever it is not going to fit, they will stop you and say, okay, you need to take the exit ramp. So that is the difference. They will send you through the exit of the ride to get onto the ride because the exits are wider and bigger and are more accommodating for wheelchairs and ECVs. So a couple of examples of this are Space Mountain. For example, Space Mountain in Disneyland, because the standby line is not accessible, they will, you go to the exit of the ride and there's actually an elevator there. And so they will have you either wait or they will say, okay, come back in half an hour, whatever it is. And they will send you up an elevator that takes you directly to the exit of the ride. Another example is Spaceship Earth. In Epcot, it is pretty much the same. For Spaceship Earth, if you have a wheelchair or an ECV, you don't go to the front of the line. You actually go through the exit. So when you exit Spaceship Earth, you come out into, I forget what the name of the building is. I want to say Inventions, but I don't think it's actually Inventions anymore. But you exit Spaceship Earth into a building. So you're going to go into that building, go to the exit of the ride, and there's a cast member there. And they will then either have you wait or they'll usher you up the ramp into the exit area of Spaceship Earth. They'll stop the, the conveyor belt. Spaceship Earth is an Omnimover type attraction, so they'll stop that, flat moving walkway so that you can either transfer into the, to the ride vehicle. I don't think Epcot has, or Spaceship Earth has, a car where a wheelchair can get in. I'm not sure, they might. But you can either transfer, or if they have that car, then they'll wait for it and they'll put you into that. So that is one example where you would enter through the exit of the ride. Otherwise, same thing, you'll go to the front. They'll tell you, oh, you know what, you can't, unfortunately you don't fit through this area, or this standby line is not accessible. Please go around this corner to the exit and they'll help you there. So that is option one. That is usually what happens. Sometimes you may not immediately get sent to the exit. Sometimes they may say, okay, the line right now, the standby line right now is currently 20 minutes, come back in 20 minutes and go to the exit and you will be able to get in then. So it just kind of depends. Sometimes you can go to the exit immediately, and sometimes, to be fair, they do want you to wait whatever the posted wait time is and then go to the exit, so that you're not kind of skipping all those people. So again, this is for people who can wait in lines. So if you do a virtual chat, or you go up to the cast members in guest services and you say, I need a disability pass because I'm, in this ECV, or I'm in a wheelchair, they're going to stop you and say, okay, the DAS pass, the disability access pass, is not what you need. Here's what you are going to do. And they're going to tell you what I just told you about going to the exits, or being sent through the exit. So there is a difference. So especially if you're going to do a virtual call, because there is a wait, which I'll get to, I hate for you to wait on hold for however many hours, or have to keep trying repeatedly only to be denied. So again, just think about it and kind of know that if you tell them, yes, if you just say, oh, I'm in a wheelchair, I need the disability pass, or, I can't walk and I need a ECV, they're going to ask you, can you physically wait in the line? And I don't even know if they'll actually ask that, but they're going to have you describe why you need the disability service. And if they determine that you can wait in the physical line, they're going to decline you. So I hate for you to wait for hours on hold only to be declined and told you can just go to the rides and either wait in line or they'll send you to the exit. So again, that is the first option. Now on to option 2. So this brings us to the actual disability access pass. So when people say DAS pass, this is the option that they are referring to. So first thing before I even move forward with this is that a lot of people assume, or a lot of people want to get the DAS pass because they assume that it allows you to skip the lines. Especially now with Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes and all of the confusion surrounding that and having to pay for it, the disability pass is free because obviously it's not someone's fault that they're disabled. A lot of people try to get the DAS pass because, either, of course, if they genuinely think they need it, but unfortunately there are people who try to kind of fudge the rules and think that they're going to be able to skip the lines. That is not the case. The DAS pass does not allow you to skip the lines. You are not going to walk up to a ride, say, I have the DAS pass, I'm here, and immediately skip everybody else in line and get on the ride immediately. That is not how it works. That's not what happens. That has never happened. So please just understand that right now. I have seen guests being rude with cast members because they think, again, that they're going to walk up to the ride and immediately get on because they have the DAS pass. That is not how it works, and it is not the cast member's fault that you misunderstood or that it does not work in the way that you want it to. So please don't be rude to cast members because they are not, implementing this policy the way you think that they should, because that is not how it works. So just to clarify, whatever wait time is posted in front of the ride, so if you go to Seven Doors Mine Train and the posted wait time is 90 minutes, somebody using the DAS pass is also waiting 90 minutes. They're just not doing it physically in the line, but they are still waiting 90 minutes. Everybody's waiting the same amount of time. Nobody is getting like a freebie going quicker than anybody else. So again, this option could be for a myriad of reasons. The condition itself, the disability itself isn't as important. Like I said, they're not going to ask you for your whole medical background. They don't want, nor do they need all of that information. So for example, let's say if you you're using the DAS pass and you go into the app and you want a return time for Soarin', and it is currently 2 p.m. and the current standby wait time for Soarin' is an hour, then the return time that you get is going to be for 3 p.m. in an hour. It's not going to tell you, okay, you can come right now. No, whatever the standby time is, just like when you look in the app and you see the wait times, that's the same thing that you see when you're using the DAS pass. So it's going to tell you the current standby line is an hour, so you have to come back in an hour. And then it will give you that return time to come back. So again, those with the DAS pass, I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but I hear so many people say this. I've had family members, coworkers, right in front of me will say, oh yeah, I need to get that DAS pass. Or not DAS pass, most people don't call it that if they're not familiar. But I need to get that pass that people get to allow them to skip the line. Doesn't happen. That's not how it works. So again, people who are getting DAS pass are waiting the same amount of time as what is posted on the standby line. So when you have that conversation with the cast member, whether it is virtually or in person in the park, this is the option they're going to suggest, and this is what they are going to notate in your account if they determine that you cannot physically wait in the line. So let's talk about how this works, because it is a little bit confusing, and there are some kind of different parts to it. So Disney's Disability Access Service, or the DAS Pass, is a system that allows a disabled guest to request a return time to experience an attraction without having to physically wait in the line. But that return time is going to be the same amount of time as is posted at the standby line. So basically they are waiting in a virtual queue rather than waiting in a physical queue. So just like when you are getting a virtual return time for Tron, now that it is open, it's basically the same thing. They are getting a virtual return time. So again, there's no skipping lines, there's no bypassing anything. They are waiting the same amount of time. Okay, so now that we've talked about what the DAS Pass is and how it works, let's talk about how you get it. So now getting the DAS Pass can basically be broken down into 3 parts. So your first step is going to be to register. So within step 1 of getting registered, there are 2 options. You can either do a pre-arrival registration, meaning that you are going to do it before you arrive in Disney. Your pass will be notated like on your account. It'll be linked to your reservation, and you'll actually be able to see it in the app now with the changes that they implemented in 2022. The second option is going to be to do it in the park. You go to guest services when you arrive in the park, and you speak to the cast member and they issue you it. So for option number 1, pre-arrival registration. So what this means is that you are going to register on the My Disney Experience app or on the website, and you're going to have a virtual chat with a cast member. So I'm going to insert a clip here of what getting to this registration page looks like.
So again, from the Disney World website, you're going to go to that sidebar again. You're going to go to Help and Rules, Guests with Disabilities, and that is going to bring you back to the page we were on before. So here's Services for Guests with Disabilities. You're going to scroll down and select Learn More, where it says Disability Access Service. Then you're going to scroll down past the first part and keep going down to where it says Past 10 Things to Know, right here where it says Register for DAS. That is the link you're going to click. Then you're going to scroll down this page. Registering for Disability Access Service. Keep scrolling down. All the important information, you can read all of that. Registration process, this will tell you how to do it as well. And then you're going to keep scrolling down. Ready to chat with a cast member, you'll see that there. You need to sign the terms and conditions. So it may ask you to sign in, so you're going to go ahead and do that. So you're going to read the terms and conditions, scroll through those, read those. I already signed them, so it's not going to have me do it, but there'll be a little checkbox there, and it'll have you sign it, and then it's going to take you back to the screen you were on before. Continue to scroll back down. And then a chat box should pop up. You see here that a chat box popped up and it has some questions on it. And I'm going to go ahead and turn my screen so I can show you what it looks like, not in landscape, in a normal view as if you were using the app. So this is what the chat looks like. You can see here there's a history of the chat that we've been in previous years when we've used this system. Yours won't look like this though, you won't have this chat history. So this is what yours is going to look like. You'll see in the blue box there, it'll say, if you wish to pre-register, please remain on this page until connected with a cast member. If you have already registered for DAS and only require assistance with DAS advanced planning, please follow the link below. So if you've already registered and you just need to select your advanced attractions, your arrival selections, you don't need to be part of this chat. There's a separate link for that. So you'll see here that there are a few questions that they ask. This is to answer the following questions. Do you have linked tickets and and confirmed Disney Park Pass reservations in your My Disney Experience app account between the dates of March 26, 2023 and April 23rd, 2023? So these dates will match up for whenever you're doing this. But again, it has to be within 30 days of your first park day. Then the next question says, is the person needing our disability access physically present during the video, since the pre-registration process requires having a photo taken? So this is what I was talking about earlier. I said I wasn't sure if your child under 18 who's disabled had to be with you, and apparently they do, because they do need to have a picture taken. Then this is, are you reaching out from the correct My Disney Experience account? If the person needing the disability access service is not identified in your My Family and Friends list, then you need to go in and change that. You'll need to log into their account if they have a separate account. So you have to be logged into the account of the disabled person. So you're going to stay in this chat window until somebody comes in and starts talking to you.
So in order to do the virtual chat with a cast member, you have to be within 30 days up to 2 days before your trip. I highly suggest doing this on the first day of that window, 30 days out from your trip. And let me clarify that, because I think this causes confusion, and I myself actually made this mistake this morning. So listen to me when I tell you this. Don't make the same mistakes I have. When I say your first day, I mean 30 days from your first park day. Not the day you're checking into your hotel, not the day you're arriving, unless you're going to a park that day, but your first actual day in the parks. So for example, I made this mistake just this morning. When we go next month, we are checking into Pop Century on April 24th. But our first actual park day is not until the next day, April 25th. So I tried to get on and do the virtual chat today, 30 days before our check-in day, and I could not, because it is not a park day. It has to be 30 days from your first park day. So for us, our first park day is on April 25th, so that means that I can do the virtual chat on March 25th. So I have to wait until tomorrow. So I got up this morning all ready to wait in the line and have my husband do his virtual chat, only to realize that I couldn't. So again, it has to be 30 days from your first park day. Write that down somewhere, make a note of it, because I hate for you to have to wait in line all that time to get into the chat with the cast member, for them to only say that they can't help you because it's too soon. I don't want that to happen to you. So again, make note of that. 30 days before your first park day. Now, the reason why I say to do this as soon as that 30-day window opens is because there's a chance that you may end up having to do it twice. You may end up having to try more than once. That is what happened to me last year. I have spoken to several people that this has happened to. I have seen it in Facebook groups. It happens. So the sooner you do it, the better, in case you have to try multiple times. Again, I'm going to link my video from last year. I'll put a card up, like I said, or I already did, and link it down below, because that is exactly what happened to me last year. So I knew this year that I wanted to do it as soon as I could, in case it took multiple tries. Now, if all of this sounds super confusing and convoluted and like a very long process that you don't want to go through, it is. I get it. It is definitely, it can be stressful. It's definitely convoluted. It's a long process. I get it. And you do have another option. You could wait, get to the parks, and then register in person, like I said, in guest services. You can absolutely do that. If that's easier for you, if you think it's going to cause you less stress, by all means, go that way. The reason why I don't recommend doing it that way, and why I personally, myself, my husband and I, don't do it that way, is because of step number 2 of this process. That's something important to note. The actual disabled person who is unable to wait in the lines is the person that has to meet with the cast member. Unless it's a child who's under the age of 18, then a parent or guardian can meet with the cast member. I'm not sure if they'll tell you have to have the child there with you, like on video. I'm not sure. We don't have kids, so I haven't done that part of the process. But if you're an adult over 18 years old, the disabled person has to be the one on the video chat. While you're waiting, that's fine. Once that cast member comes onto the video, it has to be the actual disabled person. So again, the reason why I suggest doing it in advance is because of step number 2. So let's get to step number 2. So registering leads then into step 2, which is selecting your return times. So when you register, whether virtually or in park, you are then going to be able to immediately select 2 return times for 2 attractions. You can now select 2 return times per day. So if you have a 4-day ticket, you can pick 2 rides, 2 return times for each day of your pass. So the reason why I suggest registering via the virtual chat ahead of time is because that means that you are selecting 2 attractions ahead of time before you ever even leave home. So you are already ahead of the game. Before you get to the parks, you are already locked in for 2 attractions without having to do anything extra. That can be a game changer when it is spring break or a peak time or it's Christmas. Those 2 attractions per day can make a difference. I suggest now, okay, actually, before I say that, the important thing to note is that not every ride is able to be selected ahead of time. The newest, the most popular rides in each park are not going to be eligible to be selected ahead of time. So I did go to the Disney website so I can show you exactly what rides are on this list, what rides are available, because it does change sometimes. So note that. I'm going to show you what it looks like as of today. If you go look at it next week, that could have absolutely changed. Previously, Everest was on this list. I think last year when we did it, Everest was on this list and it is now not. So just make note of that. Just because this is what I'm showing you today doesn't mean it's going to be like that forever. So let's go ahead and go to that and I'll show you what is on those lists.
So under the Disability Access Service page, if you scroll down past all of the other information, keep going past the top things to know, you'll see here where it says view experiences that may be eligible for DAS advanced planning. You're going to select that link and that is going to bring you to the list of eligible attractions for each park. So you'll scroll through the list of rides at Magic Kingdom here, and you'll see that the bigger, more popular attractions are not on this list. So you have Thunder Mountain, Buzz Lightyear, It's a Small World, Haunted Mansion, Jungle Cruise. You can meet characters, so if your kiddo loves to meet characters, you can do that as well. Mickey's PhilharMagic is on here, Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. The rides that are not on here are Space Mountain and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, because those are the 2 most popular rides for that park, and you cannot select those in advance. So if we scroll down past Magic Kingdom, we'll get to Epcot, and here are all the attractions that are available for Epcot. There's Mission Space, Living with the Land, Soarin', Spaceship Earth Test Track. You'll see that Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind and Remy's Ratatouille Adventure are not on this list, as well as Frozen is not on this list either. Those are the 3 most popular attractions, the newest attractions in this park, so they will not be on this list. Scrolling down to Hollywood Studios, here's a list of all of their rides. Aliens Swirling Saucer, Beauty and the Beast live on stage, Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, Muppet Vision, Smuggler's Run, Rock and Roller Coasters, Slinky Dog, Star Tours, Tower of Terror, Toy Story Mania. So I think all of the rides in Hollywood Studios is on this list. The only ride that is not on this list is Rise of the Resistance. Then if we go down to Animal Kingdom, you have Festival of the Lion King, Dinosaur, Finding Nemo, The Big Blue and Beyond, It's Tough to Be a Bug, Kilimanjaro Safari, Navi River. So the 2 rides that are not on this list are Flight of Passage and Everest. When we did this last year, I think it was, Everest was on this list, so they have changed it. And then there's other important information down at the bottom. But this is the list that you're going to select from when you're selecting your 2 rides.
So another thing that you do need to note is that the rides that you are selecting need to be the park that you have a reservation for. As long as Disney has park reservations, which hopefully they will go away soon because I don't think we need them, or at least they'll allow park hopping sooner than they do. If your morning reservation is for Magic Kingdom, then that is the 2 parks that you need to select the 2 rides for. If the next day your first park in the morning is Epcot, then that's where you need to pick those 2 rides. So once you have waited and met with the cast member and they say, okay, you are eligible for the DAS Pass, I'm going to link it to your reservation, pick your 2 rides, they're going to ask you. So sometimes, just to be aware, the first time the cast member had us pick the rides right there on the video call with them. But when we went to Disneyland, they actually ended the call and had us pick the rides through the virtual actual chat. Not through the video chat, but through the actual chat window. So again, if you watched my video from last year, you'll see that chat window. And I'm going to be having a video or a vlog come out this year and how it worked this year and how that day went of getting our DAS pass. So if you watch that, I will show that chat window. So I don't know if that's just a difference between Disney World and Disneyland, but you may either be asked during the video or you may be asked in the chat after the video. But once you select those rides, you tell them what rides you want. They are actually going to show up in your My Disney Experience app. So if you don't have the app, I highly suggest you download it because you are going to need it. You're going to need it to verify that you got the 2 attractions that you wanted. You're also going to need it to select the attractions once you're in the parks. So I'm going to show you a clip here of what that looks like and how you see it in your My Disney Experience app. So now that you have registered, you've made your pre-selections, now it's time to go to step 3. But before I go to step 3, I want to say something that I don't think I really clarified earlier. The reason why I say that you should do it at the earliest time you can on that 30th day is because when you go into that chat and it's going to ask you some questions that'll all be in that video when I do the actual DAS process myself. This is just kind of an explanation. That video is going to be more of like practical, like actually doing it. They're going to ask you some questions and then the chat window is going to stay open and you're basically waiting, same thing, in a virtual queue for a cast member to be available to speak to you. It's just like if you were to call, Verizon and they say there are, please stay on the line. There are, 10 people ahead of you who are waiting for an employee to be available to talk to you, whatever it is. Please wait for customer service to get on the line. Same thing, but you're doing it in a chat window, like a messenger window on the Disney website. So you have to keep that window open on the Disney website for however long it takes. So if you watch that video from last year, you'll see that I did it one day. I made the mistake of doing it on a Saturday. If you can avoid doing it on the weekend, I suggest doing that. Maybe wait till a weekday or whatever, like day best fits your schedule during the week, because I would imagine that's probably a little bit less busy during the week. You're going to wait. The first day that I did it, I waited 10 hours. I kept it open. I actually did it on my phone, which is another reason why I suggest to do it on like a desktop or your laptop, because otherwise you're going to have it on your phone for however many hours and you're not going to be able to really exit out of it. Or you don't want to accidentally exit out of it after you've already been on hold for 6 hours or something. So I suggest doing it on a computer. Keep it open. Me, for example, it kind of works out pretty well because I work from home. So I can work on my, work computer, do my thing, and have it on my personal computer next to me and just let it do its thing and wait until somebody comes. So like I said, that practical side of it and actually seeing how that part like really goes, I'll show you in another video. But there may come a time where, so the last time I did it last year, I waited for 10 hours and never got in to the virtual chat. So the thing is also, because I live on the West Coast, that's something important to note too. These are all based on East Coast times. So they do these virtual chats from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time. So that means that it's actually from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Western time, or depending on, mountain time, wherever you live. So you have to make those adjustments. So the first time I did it at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, I had not moved up the line enough to get with a cast member, and it cut off and it kicked me out. And I had to wait to do it again the next day. So that's where I say you may end up having to do it multiple times if it takes so long that that department closes and you never get into the virtual chat. So like I said, I highly suggest doing it at a time when you're going to be home, where you can kind of just set the computer up somewhere and just let it do its thing. Hopefully it won't take that long. When I did it for Disneyland, I think it took 4 to 6 hours. I don't remember exactly how long. Disney World last year, the first day, like I said, was like 10 hours. The second day, I think, was maybe 4 hours, or maybe it was 6. But it wasn't quite as long. So it just depends day by day how many people are trying to do this. So again, that's why I say to do it as early as you can, in case you have to try multiple times. So now back to step 3 of this process. And that is basically just to enjoy yourself. You have planned this trip, you have saved for it, you've done all the things that you need to do. And I know that planning a Disney trip can be stressful. It can be stressful for someone who knows the ins and outs, who knows all the tips and tricks, who knows what they're doing, and who has done this a million times. So I can't imagine how stressful it must be for somebody who isn't that big of a Disney fan, or who has never been to Disney, or who doesn't have the same like information or the same knowledge or experience. So I know that planning a Disney trip can be stressful, especially now with Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes and all the just additional things that they have added, trying to make, dining reservations and all those things. So before they started doing this virtual chat, and before you could do it in advance, you had to do it, like I said, go into the park, meet with a cast member and guest services. And then you actually had to go from ride to ride physically and say, I have a DAS pass, I want a return time. So you're walking back and forth a lot. So that can be stressful, having to figure out where to go when and how long it's going to take and how much time you have. So the beauty of this DAS pass and the way that they've changed it is that you no longer have to do that. So they have made it so that it's very easily accessible. It is all right in your phone. And I know that some people hate having to use their phones. They don't want to be on their phone in the park. They want to enjoy their time with their family. I get that. But having done the system both ways, I can tell you that this way is so much easier. So like I said, you've done your planning, you've done your savings, you've paid your trip, all that. You've registered, you've selected your rides. Now it's time to just go and have fun. So when you arrive, you are going to do everything right in your My Disney Experience app. So the thing is that I can't show you this right now because I haven't done it yet. Our trip isn't until next month. And this is something you have to do, in park. So I showed the clip of those rides showing in the My Disney Experience app and where to go in the app. That's as far as I can go right now until we're actually in the park. So once we're in the park next month, I'm going to make sure to take some clips and do screenshots and stuff to show you guys what I did. So I will have like a second part to this maybe after, so I can show you exactly how you do it in park. So again, be sure to follow this channel, to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I'm posting, and also check out my Instagram because like I said, I'll be doing live updates and everything there when it comes time for our trip. So a few things to note, like important things to know. So one is that the disabled person who the DAS pass is for has to get on every ride. They cannot make a pass, or they cannot book a ride and then decide, oh, I don't want to get on this ride, I'm going to send my wife and my kids. You can't. They will have to wait in the normal standby line. If the disabled person is not riding the ride, you have to use the standby line. Technically, the DAS pass is for that disabled person, and Disney just allows them to include their family because obviously they're not going to tell you, you have to ride alone. Sorry, your family has to wait in the line. They're not going to do that. But technically, the pass is for that disabled person. So if that disabled person is not riding the ride, the DAS pass cannot be used. Another thing to note is large families. So in December of 2018, we went with my family. There was like 13 of us, I think. We were all at that time able to use the DAS pass. So the thing is that whoever is going to be using that pass, using the virtual standby line, has to be linked to the disabled person's account. So for example, my husband and I share a Disney account. The DAS pass is linked to our reservation because he's on the same reservation as me. And then in order for our friends who we're going on the trip with to be able to come with us and not wait in the standby line, but wait in the virtual line, their reservation has to be linked to ours. So when I go into my account, I see my husband and I also see the two of them. So when we go on the virtual call, we'll tell the cast member, okay, this is for Nick, my husband, but it's also going to include the other three of us. So when my family and I all went in November of 2018, we had to make sure that all 13 people were all linked to our account too. So we were at that time able to use the DAS pass for 13 people. They didn't question anything. You know, we were all together. We're a family. Obviously, we're enjoying our vacation together. Now, in Disneyland, this past September, they gave us a little bit of a hard time. When we had the virtual chat, the cast member told us that it could only be for the disabled person and 7 other people. So 8 people total. Anything over that, they would not be able to use the pass. So we kind of talked to them. We explained that we had used it for more people in the past. The cast member apologized, said that, you know, this was the policy. There was nothing he could do about it. We understand we can't, you know, it's not his policy. He didn't make the rules. So he did say, though, that he could, technically, because we're all linked, our reservation, anybody could use it, but it could only be 8 people at a time. So if a certain 8 people want to go on the ride, this ride, that leaves out, you know, there was like 11 of us, I think, that leaves out 3 people. If we want to switch and then a different set of 8 people from within our group go on the next ride, it's interchangeable with everybody as long as only 8 people, including the disabled person, are getting on the ride. So that's something to know. I don't know if that's the same in Disney World because we haven't tried. That might just be a Disneyland thing. I'm not sure. Or they might be cracking down a little bit. That's something to know. Another thing to know is that when you pick those 2 rides ahead of time, as soon as you enter the park on your first day, you can immediately pick your next ride. So technically, if you pick a ride as soon as you walk in, you'll now have 3 choices. You'll have reserved 3 rides. So make sure that as soon as you walk into your first park on the very first day, you go into the My Disney Experience app and you pick your next ride. And I'm not sure how this is going to work with Tron or Guardians of the Galaxy because Guardians wasn't open yet. Cosmic Rewind wasn't opened yet last year, so I'm not sure how that's going to work. I'll make sure to talk about that either on my Instagram or on that second part of this video that I do. Yeah, that is basically it. In the meantime, you can check out my vlogs. I have several Disney vlogs. I have a whole Disney playlist that includes both Disneyland and Disney World and Disney Cruise Line. So you can check those out. Like I said, check out my Instagram account where I update and post regularly. I hope that this video helps you. Again, I know that not everybody has this information readily available to them. Not everybody knows about all these things. Like I said, we went several years without even realizing that Disney offered any of this. So I know that it's not something that people just assume is available to them. So I hope this helps you. I hope this makes your trip a little bit better. I hope it clears up some of the confusion. I hope you don't make the same mistakes that I did. And yeah, please like this video if you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, if you need me to clarify anything, expand on anything, if you have questions about anything else, I've been going to the Disney park since I was a kid. I am a certified Disney adult and proud of it. So let me know down in the comments and I will answer you there, or maybe I can do a separate video on whatever that topic is. But yeah, let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you thought. Let me know how your trip is or when you're going. Like I said, we are 30 days out, so let me know your countdown. And I will see you in the next one.